Alright. Hello, my name is Jackson Dodd.
I'm Tyler Marlett.
And I'm Trey Jimenez.
Today we are going to be talking to you about the importance of Sweetwater eSports in high school.
So we first had the idea to implement this eSports program right at the beginning of school in early August. And we actually started competing in early October, so very recently. Esports are competitive video games in a tournament-based format.
So students will participate either individually or in teams against players from different schools.
We compete through a website called Generation Esports, which is recognized by the Texas UIL.
There are 6 main types of games that are played. MOBA relies on teams of individual players to work together to perform a goal. And then there's FPS, which can be either team or individual, where they have to rely on their ability to aim within the game for success.
Battle Royale is a style of game where a team or player tries to be the last one standing, very similar to Fortnite, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar. In fighting style games, the goal is to eliminate the other player by an array of controls.
Sports and racing games mimic their real-life counterparts, and RTSs are similar to MOATs, but a single player controls. Esports have grown much larger than 2 groups of kids playing on computers in their mom's basement.
As of 2020, there are nearly 500 million people watching esports, growing from last year about 12%.
In August of 2021 alone, there were hundreds of millions of hours watched in competitive hours and casual hours. These are some of the most popular games around the world. If you can't read them, they are League of Legends, Apex Legends, Fortnite, and Valorant. Because of exploding viewership since 2016, this $1.5 billion industry has tripled in value.
With continued growth in viewership and high school esports programs expected for years to come, there is incredible potential for students who wish to pursue esports.
So, how does esports specifically benefit Sweetwater High School? Esports benefits Sweetwater High because it gives a chance for students to compete competitively and win in a competitive setting. It also allows students to bond with other students who they would not normally interact with.
Esports brings out many positive aspects to our school. Many of these aspects benefit our students immensely.
It will give scholarship opportunities to students who would normally not be able to get traditional athletic scholarships.
Like I said before, this program allows students to bond with fellow peers who would not normally meet. So esports can connect different types of students from athletics to yearbook.
Esports also gives students something to look forward to in order to maintain their grades, because like every other extracurricular activity, if you don't pass, you don't play.
There are many scholarship opportunities in esports. For example, when 11th grader Jeremy Murray joined the esports team at Francis Howell Central High in St. Charles, Missouri, his father had the natural reaction of, what about your homework? What about actual sports, you know? But this past spring, 6 of Jeremy's teammates were offered nearly $400,000 in scholarships to go play in college.
So during 2019 and 2020 school year, some 200 colleges in the United States offered $16 million worth of esports scholarships, more than a 5-fold increase since 2015.
While it is a little unfair to compare esports to football, esports is starting to gain traction in colleges. The average esports scholarship in 2020 was about $4,800 to about $8,000, with more developed ones offering around $12,000.
Harrisburg University in Pennsylvania offered a team of 16 players each full ride scholarships in 2019.
The average football scholarship for 2020 was about $10,000, with more prestigious scholarships averaging about $20,000.
Some schools that give out the largest scholarships here in Texas are Schreiner College in Kerrville, UT Dallas, and the University of North Texas in Denver.
There are multiple benefits that are useful in everyday life. Teamwork is essential in esports to accomplish a common goal.
Socialization is mandatory in esports because students are on a team working competitively, so they must be able to communicate to reach their desired outcomes.
Strategic thinking is also developed through esports. Students have to constantly analyze and alter their plan in order to achieve the most favorable outcome.
The opportunity to have a solid career path is an important part of any high school or college curriculum. This is no different with esports. There are many other jobs in this lucrative industry besides just a professional gamer.
There are strategists. These are jobs that are coaches or theory crafters, which often find the best strategies and most efficient ways to play the game for the player.
Content creators that live stream or report on esports. There are also entrepreneurs who are people who can use the success of an individual to build a brand around it.
And finally, there are event organizers who plan tournaments or schedule games amongst other teams.
So most of you are business owners, and you're probably wondering, how do these people make money off of all this? Well, content creators can make money through a variety of ways. Viewers can donate directly to the creators, and the creators can also earn a portion of the ad revenue that they broadcast during their streams.
Brands can sponsor creators monetarily or supply them with gear, and some creators are even a part of wider organizations that can supply salaries.
So the vast majority of other career events consist of planning and organizing. So what they do is they plan the events and they do most of the behind the scenes stuff that viewers don't usually see. And because many of these jobs are provided by companies, workers are often paid through salaries.
One of the most common issues with esports is finding people to play. But through the Generation Esports website that we use, it makes that problem very simple.
120-mile radius is the largest ring, with a total of 19 schools actively playing and competing. There are some schools in the outer ring that are around our size.
There are also at least 100 other schools outside of that 120-mile radius that we could compete with online, and national competition will begin play in May of next year. We went around to each class in our school to survey each student and get an accurate representation of the overall feeling towards an esports program.
We walked in each class and asked students if they would take a survey about esports. In the survey, there was two parts to separate the people who played already and the people who don't usually play.
As you can see, the majority of students already actively play video games, with many already playing every day.
We feel this data shows that students are already playing and are interested in competing, but they just need a way to do so.
A school-wide program gives the students a way to invest their hours, which they already put into video games, into tangible success. We plan to be in contact with the head of McMurray Esports, and he has shown a lot of interest in helping us build the foundation for our program for years to come.
Another one of our goals is to gain consistency with our players in terms of competition. So sometimes they'll compete one week, but they'll forget to go into competition the next. So that would involve us making sure that they have a schedule of when games are and what time they are, and just keeping them within the loop of competition.
We are also looking for ways to support the program monetarily, so that way we can ensure that we have the latest supplies for our students.
For the location, at first we were going to use a room out at the hub, but then we found a much better room that's about the same size and it's more secure, and it's out at the JP Cowan building.
The reason we found JP Cowan more suitable was because of its similar size and also because of its much increased security measures.
JP Cowan has cameras covering the entire facility, so that would make stealing equipment within the room highly difficult. And so all the cameras are backed up to a system that runs all the way to the admin building. And also there's also a storage closet where we could keep all of our equipment and make sure it's just safe and ready for use when we need it.
We currently have 52 students signed up to play esports, but not all are playing at the moment. Starting in the midst of many other athletic seasons has admittedly been a challenge.
Nonetheless, we have 11 out of our 18 rosters actively playing right now. And that's about 20 of the 52 kids that are already signed up. Sweetwater Esports has experienced some moderate success within the last few weeks of competing.
We have won some games inside of matches, but for the most part, we have come up short in winning the entire match. The main issues for the reason why we cannot win are because of the lack of scheduled practices for teams, internet errors, and communication errors. Most students who are not actively playing as of right now are because they are lacking the equipment to play.
Right now, our most successful program is a team-based racing game called Rocket League.
These current goals are 100% necessary to keep this program on path for the spring major tournament starting in January.
One of our main goals is financial aid so we can help pay for all the new equipment for our lab.
Our short-term goal is establishing a central place for the kids to play, like we said at the JP Cowan building, and having it set up before mid-January. This is looking to cost us around $20,000.
The money we collect will be used to buy the most modern equipment for the lab, ensuring that students have the most optimal chance to succeed.
We thank you so much for listening to our presentation and hope you're willing to fund eSports. We'd love to hear any questions or comments that you have, and I'm sure all your donations are already ready to give to me, so I'll take that. Does anybody have any?
If there are any questions, we're open to answering them.
What age are you looking at playing these games?
What age?
What age are the kiddos?
Solly, you're too old.
So
It's open to anyone on campus.
Well, yo, high school campus?
High school.
Right now, yes, it's high school.
That's what I'm getting at, okay.
Yes, sir.
With that in mind, though, how do you guys monitor it for safety? I guess that's what I'm thinking about. An adult like Solly wanting to join in.
Like monitoring the content of the
Well,
games?
anybody just joining in, I mean, because with it being online or the computer system, I know one of my sons can play with his cousin that's in New York, anybody can just jump in, I'm just trying to figure out how do you guys take care of the safety aspect.
So once we establish that lab, we would hope for all of the students competing to actually play within our lab. And so that way you could always monitor, we would have an adult present who could monitor what they're doing, who they're talking to. Typically in these, it's difficult to communicate with others because that's disabled through the services we use. But
Okay, I guess I'm just thinking of, how you hear about all this. We've had a lot of different people come present and we have these predators that.
yeah, so the way through Generation Esports, which we were talking about earlier, you have to be signed up and registered with your school. And so we control who registers with the school,
yes.
and then through that platform, you're able to connect with other schools. And so it reduces any of the actual online aspect. So it's limited just to that program and who's on that.
Yes, most of the matches they compete in are like private matches, making sure that they're not competing with anyone outside of Generation Esports.
I noticed there weren't very many girls in those pictures. Percentage of girls versus boys.
I don't know if we have exact statistical data on that, but we do have very diverse across every type of student present on campus.
There are more boys naturally because
Yes.
a lot of them are like Call of Duty or types of games like that. We do have a few. We have a team that are actively playing that has a few girls on it. So it's it's a struggle getting them on, but most of the 52 are boys. Yes.
Hopefully, as our program gets more introduced into the school, more girls may want to sign up after they see how much success these boys are having. Maybe they just want to meet new people, they just want to build new connections. So that obviously that's going to come with time, getting those demographics to kind of become balanced as well.
So as far as funding goes, if you raise money for the first year, this equipment always needs more money. If it is a UIL activity, like basketball or football or anything, how would future funding come? Is the administration on board to help fund part of it?
Yes, we have spoken with the administration about funding aspects of things.
Yeah, Nick is very on board with this. As you can see, he's looked at purchasing equipment for us. The school board actually, to start at the very beginning, we went to the school board and they gave us $1,000 because that's the entrance fee for the spring, fall, and summer major. So that they paid the $1,000, getting us off our feet. So they're very supportive of all this, and we're looking at making an actual period for this next year. So we're looking to make this an official elective for everyone to have.
You have referees in this deal? Because I'm thinking there's got to be a 15-yard personal foul control and control.
I mean, typically, every competitive game will have systems in place built in that will prevent like cheating measures. So it won't really rely as much on having an actual person in there to do that.
And we have sponsors already. We have 2 that I know of. We have multiple I just haven't gotten to talk to yet because it's not really, we don't really need sponsors at the moment, but we will follow the next semester and the years to come. We have teachers that are interested in helping out with that, staying after school, or taking care of the period if we have one.
Yes.
Why don't y'all talk about a few of the different games for some folks who don't know? I mean, I think everybody's heard of Call of Duty, but after that, no idea. Like Rocket League, I've never heard of Rocket League.
Rocket League, oh man.
Rocket League is definitely one of the more popular games we have. A way to think about it is it's basically soccer played with cars instead of people, basically. If that helps you to visualize it. You control a car and you're playing soccer.
Very intense.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that's one of our more successful ones. We have a team of 3 and a substitute that they've been playing the last few weeks and they've got wins. And then like 2K, I don't know if that is one of the sports and racing games category. It's actually basketball, produced by the NBA, and so they make games that mimic the NBA with all their real players and all that.
Mm-hmm. We also, and then all of these fantastical kinds of games, we also have things like chess if you want to compete in that. That is also a category that we have. And we have many people actually signed up playing for that right now. Other games we have things such as, we have Fortnite listed, Splitgates. Those are under the FPS genre. So those are based on your ability to aim within a game. And so those are more of a lot of people that have played previously, because those do require a little more time to be good at, as opposed to the more casual games that we have listed. So there's a lot of variety in those interesting.
And with that variety comes a lot of experience. As we have 52 people, all of them want to play different games. Whenever they find usually they already have a team set up as well, because they have people in town they like to play with. Most of them are already in the high school. So that just puts all the time that they put into an actual competitive setting that we can, measure. And a lot of them are already ranked really high. If y'all knew how ranking works, I would say explain that to y'all, but it's okay. Online rankings, they're already pretty high at it. So the teams that they already have formed, they already have that chemistry. So it's not like we're building a brand new program without any experience. These players have experience. It's just a matter of putting it into a lab, into a competitive setting where we can measure their success.
If you're looking at getting the period added, are y'all looking, what's the maximum number of students you're wanting in that period? 24, or are you gonna be able to stretch it out even?
So the way we're looking at it right now is kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with the golf period, but they have it in the very last period of the day. And so that just allows the students to leave campus and go directly to the golf course. With the new program, or with the period, we'd have to have scheduled practices for after school. And we could tell people, okay, like Rocket League, y'all practicing this day, or y'all have a game today, or Minecraft players, you can go play today. So it'd be they would have a schedule of when they know they can go play, so it wouldn't be too crowded in the room.
And so like golf, they have to turn in their attendance. So that just kind of prevents any students from saying they're gonna go to the eSports period, but then they end up going to Sonic or just going home after school. So we'd be able to kind of keep up with their attendance and make sure that they're actually coming to the period instead of just taking it as a pretty much goof off time.
What's the minimum age requirement for Call of Duty?
Call of Duty?
There really isn't a minimum age requirement to compete.
I didn't know if the game, they come with ratings and stuff, but I didn't know if it was rated like 17 plus or.
Yeah, all these games are made, they're all high school students can play each of these games that we have listed according to their ratings.
So do you guys will you receive grades? I mean, it's.
Typically, it would be more like a traditional athletic period. I know for football. Trey participates in soccer as well. It's more of, you don't receive a real grade, it's more of attendance and participation.
So do you guys have a season? How are you guys gonna do this and some of the other sports if you're doing it right after school?
So that is actually something we've been dealing with because of the nature. You can, like one of the games I compete in, Minecraft, is every Tuesday at many different, it's all throughout the day. And so I have been able to participate in football as well as esports because when I get home from football practice, I'm able to, because of the many different time slots they have available through Generation Esports, I can get home from football practice at 6:30 and then compete in esports at 7:30. So, because like I said, we are able to do it from our homes. We just wish to establish a lab for students that don't have the consoles or the computers at their house available to them. And we would just like to provide an equal opportunity for every student.
With the $20,000 goal that y'all have set, how many setups are y'all gonna try to have in y'all's lab?
So right now we're looking at having 3 of the major consoles, an Xbox, a PlayStation, and a Nintendo Switch, as well as 6 computers set up because the game we have, it's called Overwatch, it requires 6, and then that's the most of any game on a computer. So we're looking for 3 of the major consoles and 6 computers.
And we'd also have 1 extra computer set up to dedicated live streams, and that way we can work on the career paths like we were talking about with the content creators, so they can live stream and then maybe we can get some ad revenue from that as well. So that would help with our funding.
Will our internet crash when y'all are playing?
Oh yeah, we'll definitely target
all
you.
bandwidth.
We'll make sure to target DMI and take all their electricity too and use their
Nick, do you want to comment or add anything?
Well, I'm very proud to hear this young men's presentation. I know they've been doing a lot of hard work. I looked at this a long time ago, and it's very complicated. I couldn't wrap my head around so many aspects of it. These young men have already kind of fleshed out a lot of those things that just didn't make sense to me. Scheduling and what facilities we may need, the number of dedicated stations. These guys have really done a great job of identifying all of that. And so that really helps me try to help establish a facility, and maybe we can make goals and make this a long-term, sustainable program, just like any athletics program. I think it's very important to have esports, but I guess that's mainly it. These guys have already done a fantastic job. As an adult looking at this, there was no way to, I had conversations with administration, with some teachers, and it just kind of stopped there because I didn't know of any student interest, and so now that there's student interest, I think that's really going to help drive our program. And I know my son's in 7th grade, and I'm sure he's going to participate in esports. So I'm also excited about getting the program going because I can see it being a long-term thing. I've already seen. If you haven't watched a match, go watch something because it's pretty exciting. Just to see what they can do. I mean, I played Rocket League for quite a bit, and then I went and watched some colleges play, and I was like, oh my goodness, they're doing some amazing things. These are cars flying in the air, knocking balls down into a goal. So it's pretty amazing. But it's in a nutshell, these guys are doing a great job.
Can I add something? They mentioned McMurray University. McMurray is the number 6 college esports team in the state currently. And I spoke to Matt Tarpley, who's in charge of that program, because I was, again, trying to wrap my head around a lot of this too. And he said, we're not trying to make gamers. We're not trying to produce gamers out of the educational environment. We are trying to produce graphic designers, business people, psychologists. I have athletic trainers, all in this program because it's a multidisciplinary program in my viewpoint. Which is his view is to run it correctly, and that takes a lot of different angles. He said we start off with 3-hour practices, including written goal setting, mental health exercises, physical health goals, and then we just talk strategy, psychology, and then get around to the game plan. You know. It impressed me. I thought there's more to it than I realized. So I wanted to add that point too.
Yeah, and you can kind of see how, like from a school district perspective, if we were to try to maintain all of that, there's a lot of expense and ongoing costs. You know, you've got dedicated coaches, you need counseling, you may have kids with social, emotional issues, and you know, the gaming environment, if you've ever imagined or seen kids or played with kids before, you know, they're shouting commands at each other, they're getting frustrated, it's just like any sport, but it almost seems like the communication and it's at a much higher level, and so a lot more tension I could see being built up in that type of environment. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we conclude, there's going to be an upcoming district convention. So what we need is judges so they can judge our competition. So if you're unfamiliar with what DECA is, it's a national business organization. And so we will compete against other people based on their projects. So for example, we are a DECA team, and eSports will be our project that we'll be competing with. So that will be in January, I believe. January 12th. So that'll be on January 12th. We'll greatly appreciate it if you guys could volunteer to be judges for that competition. We'll have chapters from Snyder, I believe Ballinger, Cristobal, just a lot of different schools within our district. And we are District 9. So if you're interested in signing up, be sure to put down you want to judge for District 9 DECA. There should be little cards on your table that I believe you can scan. And if you want, instead, you can sign up on a sheet back there with your email, just putting down that you're interested in judging for our competition.
That's about it.
Okay, thank you so much.